The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here!
Ready for action!
I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
Happy Tech Day, everybody! It is this a new episode of the Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinsorrel. Returning to the show is the triumphant Willie Dills Gregory and the Unicorn Master herself, Jocelyn Moffat. One of these days, I'm going to let you guys intro and come up with some stupid little preamble for me. Today, it would be the functioning on 4 hours of sleep, Garrett. That's what today would be.
Oh no! Did I pass it through the internet to you?
Yeah. I don't think you saw it. I messaged you today, and I was like, Dills,
Oh, no.
Dills, your lack of sleep has been passed through the interwebs. As you run to get coffee, I don't blame you. I might do the same. I might do the same in this. But how you doing, Josh? How's Hearthstone treating you?
Hearthstone's actually treating me pretty well. I've been playing the Spiteful Priest deck, which I haven't run into too many mirror matches. It doesn't seem to be that popular on ladder yet, so I didn't even really know if I wanted to mention it because I'm just like, oh, it's so good. I think I'm like 29-12 with it right now or something. It's like a
Nice.
71-ish% win rate, and I'm like up to rank almost 8, and I'm having so much fun. It's like I'm grinding ladder in a way that doesn't even feel like grinding, because every game I play, I'm like, oh, what silly, fun, crazy minion am I going to get this time? And the number of times I've like had Nosdormu show up. Oh man, dude, I'm having so much fun.
That's awesome. I was doing well. I'm not anymore, but I was doing.
Wait, what deck are you playing, Joss?
The Spiteful Priest deck.
Summer. Yeah, okay.
It's just so fun.
Yeah. I've just been playing Aggro Paladin, man. I've got over 30 games logged. I'm sitting at a 70% win rate. I was at like an 86% win rate for a while there, and just rocket. The beginning of this, I think I mentioned last week, but at the beginning of this season, I could not hit 15 to save my life. Then I hit 15, waffled a bit at 15, made the switch to Aggro Paladin, and then boom, rank 10, like no problem at all. And now I'm just stuck at 9. I can't get out of 9. It's been problematic. I'm thinking about making the swap to CubeLock, but I know it works. I'm even getting into situations against decks that I have beaten plenty of times in my climb to 10. It's just I'm getting some bad beats, man. Getting some bad beats.
I feel like Aggro Pally right now though it's kind of an all-in deck, and then they stabilize once and you never get through again, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you think that there's so many people playing Void Lords on turn 5 or 6. So
Yeah.
they get a Void Lord out. If you don't have exactly like Spellbreaker, then you have just no chance at all. And a lot of times too, also if you run out of cards and you don't draw Divine Favor, then you never have a chance again either. So it's like they either don't have the answers right away and you just steamroll them, or they stabilize once and you just can't win from there, and you just concede. So like that's why I kind of feel like if I'm playing aggro, I'm preferring right now playing like Zoo,
I've seen a lot
Zoo,
of
Rogue,
Nosferatu
or Hunter,
do-
because I know at least I still have a chance even when they stabilize, because I could still kind of bust through, right? But yeah, Paladin just feels like, man, it just has to work right away.
I think that's fair, yeah. But I mean, I was on such a disgusting streak for a while with it that I was like, cool, I'll just keep playing this. And I haven't even been hitting that many Warlocks. Again, the joke I made last week, I think they just all ranked above me and they're just gone now. But
that could be too, yeah. Although at rank 18 on EU, I was facing meta deck CubeLocks.
Oh, I mean, one of the.
while I'm trying to like get my quest done with my thrown together EU deck, you know.
Well, I mean, you guys
It
probably
happens fairly quickly.
You guys probably saw it. One of the top voted things on the subreddit this week was my second game on a new account, and it was ranked 25 1-star against CubeLock.
Yeah, or like completely teched out Raza Priest with all of the legendaries and stuff. Like, it's crazy. But you know, the game is long enough in the tooth that I think there's a lot of accounts that just have a lot of cards, and they just maybe don't play that much, so they're pretty low rank.
Yeah, and it's the end of a cycle. I mean, I think it's kind of. I'm still more or less okay with it, but we definitely have more than enough excuses in today's rundown to talk about the meta. But yeah, how are you doing, Dills? Man, we missed you last week.
So I also had sleep problems, which affected me really badly last week, but I've been trying to correct them throughout this week. And I spoke to, I actually did speak to, I didn't get to go see a doctor because they said first we want to have a phone consultation. But basically, it's just.
Your medical
look, Canadian insurance person. Look, national health insurance person. This is how things are done sometimes.
I've never heard of a phone consultation for a family doctor before in my life.
I wish my doctor would let me do that.
I just don't want to make this whole
because I told them on the phone what was the problem, and they said, well, for sleep problems, you don't always have to come in. We can just talk to you about what might be some options, right? And if it doesn't work, then come in and we'll give you like the good stuff, you know? But yeah, basically I'm trying a few things before actually getting like any kind of prescription stuff. Have you ever seen the movie Fight Club? The doctor literally says, like, well, I'm not going to give you anything. Just get some sleep. And that's not even like a weird thing to happen here. Anyway, so I've been much better. But one thing that did happen throughout the last week and the week before is I did finally complete the dungeon runs. So I have wins with each of the 9 classes, and I have the card back, which is probably the worst looking card back in my entire collection. So I don't think I'm actually ever going to use it, but I have it, and it's there. I did it. It's done. But after completing the whole thing, there's a couple of things like that I think are worth reiterating. Yeah. If you've been reading my Twitter, you probably think, oh my God, Dills is in a rage right now. Everyone stay away from him. Jesus Christ. That's not really true. Like I was telling Garrett and Josh before the show, like I was being hyperbolic on purpose. I was just kind of, but the point still stands. Like the game mode suffers because of one decision, right? And that upsets me because it is a really, like, you know, Garrett, your points are all sound, that it's very well designed game mode that's pretty fun and is fun for a lot of people. But it's well, actually, instead of but, I will say yes, and to that, it is also a worse game mode overall because of one decision, and that is frustrating, right? As a person who loves this game a lot, like that they made something really great and then made one decision that really just kind of defaults it to bad in your mind, right? Like you check all these boxes, but the one like important box at the end gets unchecked, and then you're like, well, now I can't call it good anymore. Damn. It's like they made me like an amazing car, and then at the end they were like, yeah, and we didn't put seats in it. So, have fun. And you're like, I got to crouch in the car, like my new Lamborghini. Like what? It boggles my mind that this is what they really believe is the correct decision. Because there's a few points. Like, of course, I'm talking about the fact that there's no rewards, right? Mm-hmm. And I've heard some arguments why there shouldn't be rewards. The arguments like against it are things like, well, you shouldn't feel like you're forced to do it because you need to get these rewards.
Which I think is Blizzard's official stance on it, right? Like that's basically what they told us at BlizzCon. Yeah.
If that's the case, they're completely inconsistent because there's a reward for Tavern Brawl every week, and you feel like you're forced to do that. So I don't understand why like that is fine and this isn't. Also, there's rewards just for playing like casual. There's rewards for playing ladder. There's rewards for everything. So there's just one area, like one button in the game doesn't give rewards, and so it's like I'm not forced to do anything in your game. Like I'm not forced to open your game in the first place, right? And I do see that as a reason why maybe like daily login rewards shouldn't be a thing, because that does make sense. You might feel forced And then you might feel bad if you didn't log in one day or whatever like that. But I mean, those things could all be worked around. Then I've heard the argument, oh, well, then people are going to bot. People are going to bot the mode and just grind up gold. To which I say people already bot. And if we're going to punish everybody because some people bot, well, then there's lots of things in the world anybody should not have access to, right? No one should have alcohol because some people abuse it, right? It's like, I don't buy that argument ever. You can also cap the entire intake of gold on an account per day at the current.
Which they already do on ladder, right?
Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100. You could just say like on ladder and in dungeon runs, you can never get more than 100 gold earned per day through just grinding free modes, unless like arena is its own separate thing because you're buying it.
Because you pay in.
That right there is where you start to pull me over to your side of the fence, because I always lean towards just play the game you want to play it, and I would like it if the developers incentivize playing the game you want to play it, no matter what mode that you're in. Exactly.
But okay, now then there's another huge reason why getting something for, because here's why it's like a mode that becomes unfun to me, right? Is that the only thing that matters is beating the last boss. And once you've played it enough times, you realize that the first like 5 bosses are basically trivial unless you get like really unlucky in one random run or something where you draw terribly and like they just, run you over somehow. Or like sometimes you'll run into that one boss that evolves his minions and you just never have a removal for them and they just, but like that just happens sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. But the basic strategy of Dungeon Run is build the deck that will beat the last boss, right? And the whole time, all you care about is, can my deck beat that final boss? Because all the bosses up until that final boss are essentially cakewalks. Like they just are. Basically, every run I had went 7 of 8, 7 of 8, 7 of 8, 7 of 8. Oh, 8 of 8, I win. You know what I mean? It was just like that's how it kind of ended up working once I'd played it enough times to understand what each boss did, right? And the problem here is that this disincentivizes anybody to try anything else in Dungeon Run. There is now like literally a tier list of what is the best pick at each single point. And why would I ever try something different and experiment if I'm now making my chance of beating that final boss like significantly less? Yeah. So I would love to go into a Dungeon Run and feel like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the thing that gives me 3 secrets instead of +1/+1 on all my minions, because I just want to kind of play around with that now. But no, I'll never pass up on the flag that gives my minions +1/+1, because beating boss 5 does nothing for me, but beating boss 8 is the only thing that matters. So you literally made the mode worse, because there's no, like, you feel like empty after losing to the 7th boss. Or losing to the 8th boss, right? And you could have built this super fun, cool deck that was awesome, but it's like, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to pick Jades and double Death Rattles. Like, that's what I'm going to do, right? And so what happens is you have a bunch of people just playing it one way and then feeling disappointed. And instead you could have people trying all sorts of different things, getting to like boss 5 and be like, that was kind of cool. I think there might be something there if I could have gotten one other different pick or something like that. So like all experimentation is just thrown out the window. And
whereas if you were rewarded for beating boss 5 and losing on 6 or something, then that.
And you'd feel okay about it because you tried something, it didn't quite work, but here's 30 gold, for beating 7 bosses. Like, something, it doesn't have to be that much, right? It's just a little something pops up and you're like, cool, okay, and now let's try again, because I feel like I'm progressing, right? I feel like I'm doing stuff and it's fun for me to try things out. But what ends up happening is it doesn't feel that way, and it just feels like a big stupid grind where only one thing matters, and that's bad. That makes the whole mode worse to me. So I just hope they reconsider, because right now I'm at the point where I'm done and I'll never touch it again. Like I literally will never touch it again. Mm-hmm. I just have no reason at all to ever, like, it's not fun enough in its current form for me to ever want to do it again right now.
Well, and even if it was, I've also seen the argument that, like sometimes you can just play things for fun, and that, games like Super Mario Brothers, never had rewards, never gave you anything. The reward was like fun and progressing through the game. But to those people, because I've seen so much of that. To those people, I say, yeah, that's fine in Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers doesn't have a collection of anything. If you're trying to experience the rest of the game and to essentially earn your way to a full client of Hearthstone, then you need rewards. Like they put a collection in the game, so I feel, to me at least, that invalidates the argument. If
it does.
all of Hearthstone had no collection and nothing to work towards, then absolutely, all the game modes are there for fun. Yay. But because Hearthstone has put something in where you need to collect and you need to earn, that's what
really
they've built their game. And it's very expensive,
yeah.
But
so
that's
the problem is that you then you take free-to-play players and you give them this mode that's awesome for them, and then you de-incentivize ever playing it because they're like, well, I need to be earning my collection, though.
Yeah.
So, like I was talking to my buddy Ty about it, and I was like, is this something, I was like, okay, you're free-to-play player. Here's this mode that seems perfect for you. And we played through it a couple times, and he was like, but I need cards, man. He's like, I'm missing cards, and I need to earn them. This isn't going to help me do that ever, is it? And I was like, no. And he's like, no, I don't have time then. I only play a certain amount every week or month or whatever, and I need to make sure that at the end of that, I could buy some new packs with my time, right? And so, yeah.
And we thought that it was going to be great for players like that, right? For free-to-play players or new players, because it didn't revolve around your collection at all, so you got to play with all the cards and stuff.
If it's all you do, it is great for you, by the way.
Yes, that's true. If you don't play any other part of Hearthstone, or I would say, well, no, because even then, even if you're an arena player, you still need gold to enter arena. So
yeah. So it's just, I don't want to like harp on it like, oh god, this mode is terrible, because also I heard on the latest instance, Scott said something like, oh, Eternal has this mode that's just like it, and it does give rewards. It's called Gauntlet, and I'm like, well, okay. Like Gauntlet is not just like dungeon runs, because you build your own deck out of your own collection and then play a gauntlet against a bunch of AIs, and your deck never changes throughout, right? So it is not at all close to what Dungeon Run does offer as far as like fun and interactivity and deck building challenges and all that kinds of stuff. The comparison is really just that you can play against AI, and it's a little easier than going on the ladder when you don't have a very full collection, right? But it's like, yeah, they give you this, like, it is not worth grinding in Gauntlet if you are a player who can go on the ladder and play. You earn rewards so much faster if you are that type of player. But it is a way to earn stuff when you don't have that collection, right? And the final boss is really difficult still, and it's really hard to beat. And if you do beat it, then you get like a pack essentially in that. So it's not the same, but it's like there's a lot to be learned from that mode. And there's a lot to be learned just from like completing this and then thinking about it in a way that says like, what is it that would ever keep me coming back to this mode that they clearly spent a lot of time on and is really cool. Like I'm not going to refute the coolness, funness, all that kind of stuff. And if you like it and you love it and it's fun for you, please don't let me not liking it for this one very specific reason deter you from enjoying the hell out of it, because that is totally fine. Everyone can like and dislike different things. But I really, really hope that Blizzard listens to what people are saying about this. And like, if they add rewards to those people having a great time, that ain't going to take away from your fun. So I don't understand why people are fighting back on this one. It's so weird to me that they're like, no, don't put rewards in. Come on, Dills. And I'm like, this literally won't make it less fun for you, but it might make it more fun for me.
Okay, all right. I've been patient. I've been nice. I'm here to disagree, and also defend some of the pushback I saw on Twitter. I mean, you've already admitted, dude, to being hyperbolic for the sake of hyperbole, and you're surprised that people are pushing back. I mean, you're on the internet getting loud.
I'm not surprised
people are going to push back, man.
But I'm surprised that they believe in the things that they're saying to me, like that somehow like me wanting rewards is wrong, like straight up wrong. Like that's what I'm surprised about, because you could definitely say to me, oh, it's fun anyway and I want to play it, but like you can't tell me you just don't want rewards and I'll believe you. Like, no,
I don't think anyone is arguing that.
Oh no, people are.
I've not seen that argument, and I'm not going to argue for those people. But my mind, it's just at the end of the day, I don't care. Like, why do you care so much? You sound like you really care, and it's just like, It's a fun mode.
I do, because I really care about this
free.
game, and and there's a mode in the game that could be could be so amazing and so beneficial for so many people, and they made one really, what I believe is a really bad decision, and it's now not that. That's, to me, that's a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I see, not to whoever is out there saying they don't earn rewards. I can't help those people, but to everyone else who's maybe a little more on, just oh, I enjoyed it and I like what like what I got for it. I guess I understand from reading your Twitter comments how some people might be like, man, I feel like Dills is trying to convince me that I'm wrong for liking it, and you've since cleared that here on this podcast with your comments. But
if they really think that they're adding things into what I said that's not actually there, yes, I could see that you might think that if you just make assumptions about what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that I think the mode is now, I used harsher words, but I think the mode is trash because of one decision. Like I literally think that the mode becomes trash because of one decision, and I'm not being hyperbolic there. I actually do think that they took an amazing game mode and literally crumpled it up into trash, because of one decision. And that sucks, man. That really does suck. Because I've told this many, many times. Many times I've said this on this show, on my stream. This is my favorite game. This is my favorite game that exists in the world today. And yeah. That's it's disappointing when your favorite game makes one really poor decision, and then makes it for reasons that don't ultimately make sense when I actually hold them up to the fire, right?
Yeah, well, and that's the kind of thing that is difficult for me to argue against, right? At the end of the day, my read on Dungeon Run is that it's very fun. I've had a great time with it, but I've tried every class maybe once. I only have one completed run because that's as much as I care about it. I don't think it was necessarily for me. I don't think everything needs to be for me. It doesn't sound like it was for you. We talked before the show, and you're like, oh, I got the 7 out of 8 or 9, and then it sounds like your completionist mind just, that was it. You were over the apex of the roller coaster, and now all
that was
of a
already
sudden,
there. Do I really I barely even play Paladin? Do I care about beating the Lich King? No, but it's a thing in the game that I want. It's a challenge that exists in this game that I play all the time. Yeah, I'm going to do it, right? Yeah. And the same kind of thing existed with Dungeon Run. It's not necessarily that I needed the card back. It's that there was a thing in the game that I could beat, and I'm going to beat it, right? Yeah. And that's just how I play video games, right? So yeah. But also it just, man, it's all the other reasons, that I said, and I can't argue logically with you for saying that you have fun and you enjoy it. There's literally no logical argument I can make against that, and I'm not making that argument. The only argument I'm making is that the game mode is worse than it could be. And now a game mode that isn't going to be played by a lot of people because of this one decision, right? It's like, I've cited sources. I don't know what else I could do. Everyone who loves it, go have fun with it. Play the hell out of it. But I really do hope Blizzard will just reconsider and just put something in there, because it's gonna help it for a lot of people.
Well, I feel like I'm baiting you into crapping on Hearthstone a little bit with this next question, but what mode exists in Hearthstone that could not be better? Because I can't think of one.
What was that? Sorry.
You said it. You said it could be better, and my follow up is, what mode in Hearthstone couldn't be better? Because I can't think of one that's
you're
perfect.
Definitely right. Yeah, there isn't a mode. Yeah, but this one has such an easy fix, right? Fixing ladder is a very complicated decision. I don't even know what the answer to that is, but fixing this isn't actually really that difficult. Almost every decision they made along the way was so well done. I will say there's another thing I would like them to do. I would like to see a version of this where strategy becomes more involved than just RNG of which boss you get and stuff. The first pick where you get a treasure and a new set of cards. I'd like to see both of those selections at the same time, or be able to toggle back and forth, so you can make an informed decision on which one goes with which thing.
Oh man,
I think
Hearthstone in a nutshell, right there.
That would be a lot more fun for me to make decisions that aren't just okay, well, this one, and then the next pick comes up. You take big minions cost 5, and then the next pick is zoo options. You're
yeah.
No. Like
I saw that happen
that'd be
to
more fun for me.
Hafu. She was actually doing the second, like the second tier of the dungeon run challenge. So she was one of the top 10 placement people, and she was doing her second tier, and she picked the your big stuff costs 5, and then she had literally no big stuff in her. She had like one thing that cost more than 5, and every single time it's like she had no options to actually make that work. I was like, damn.
The other thing too, this whole dungeon run challenge thing. Like Trump got 9 out of 9, but if you watch his VOD or whatever, like I was curious. I was like, damn, what is he doing that's like so amazing? And I was like, oh, he just gets really lucky every single time. Every single time there's like a pick, it's like all amazing picks, and then he like fights like bosses that are perfect for his
bosses,
final deck. And I was like, oh, like he just kept doing it until he got really lucky 9 times in a row.
Yeah.
And so this whole like we're gonna treat it like a challenging mode with a lot of intricate strategy. I'm like, like he definitely made good decisions, but also he didn't get like these.
Now you're just baiting me.
Sometimes where you just get terrible picks, right?
You're just baiting me to crap on the game, man. Because it's just like, oh my god, Dills, are you telling me that Dungeon Run isn't a competitive mode and it's kind of laughable when you think about it in that spotlight?
It'd be cooler if they made it slightly more competitive. Like I do like it that it's just for fun in a lot of aspects. But it's like, I don't know, the game designer inside my brain like starts to look at things and be like, oh my god, what if I saw what all 8 bosses were going to be at the very beginning, and I could like make a plan, right? Like, what if I could?
That's what I
make each pick based on what I know is coming, right? Oh
yeah,
my god,
I wouldn't mind random bosses if I could actually see like what my run is going to look like, because it's if you look at running dungeons in like World of Warcraft, like you know what's coming. Yeah, you know how to the strategies going into those fights, like.
Yeah. Play some D&D, guys. You don't.
No rewards doesn't make any sense because you're running friggin' dungeons,
so right?
Nobody here plays D&D. You don't know what your friggin' bosses are ahead of time in D&D.
Well, that's true. But have you ever killed a boss in D&D that hasn't dropped a treasure for you to take home and use and be stronger?
I can only use it in that particular adventure, which is true of Dungeon Run. If my character dies or we start a new campaign, it's the end of that.
Fair enough. I don't play D&D. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna use D&D as like an example here, but I think if you want truly randomness and not knowing what the next deck is going to bring and all that stuff, then Arena is your game. Dungeon Run just seems like it's like this. It's like, man, it's like, this mode is so cool and so awesome, and then just part of the way there, they were like, okay, I guess we're done. And it was like, what? Why? Why not make it perfect? So, it's, Garrett, you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. Dungeon mode is fun. But, I mean, it's like, that's where that argument ends to me. Like, that it's...
To be 100% honest, I feel like Hearthstone is, and I don't necessarily want to... I can't think of a better word, but I feel like they're going to abandon Dungeon Run because it feels to me like
it won't get more support.
Yeah, like I don't think it's going to get any more support, so they don't want to tie rewards to it because they don't want people to feel like they have to play when it's no longer a supported mode. I feel like going forward, they're going to introduce new and different types of single player experiences because, why am I totally blanking on his name right now? Oh my God, the guy that made Dungeon Run.
Peter Whalen?
Yes, thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was like, literally.
I actually knew exactly who you were thinking of just by like, yeah.
So, but like, because they have him working on this kind of stuff, like he has so many super cool ideas that I feel like this is just Kobold and Catacombs experience. And if you get a month of experience out of it, then Blizzard is happy because they're going to have something new coming down the pipe. And once you were done with the previous rewards that gave you, and we did have like one-off quests that you could complete doing dungeon runs, like that kind of gave it the same level of rewards as like the Lich King adventure mode. So I feel like now you've gotten your same reward level as a normal single player experience. Like it has the replayability as much as you want to from like maybe a heroic run on some of the previous adventures. You got your card back. The rewards are very, very similar to previous single player experiences.
Yes, it doesn't even get its own button. So I mean that's a pretty decent theory.
So I think that we're just not going to see any more support for this.
I just wish they would have told us that then. Like just say that to us straight up. Just be like, well, we're not sure if this is going to continue to be like a mode forever, and so we don't necessarily want to tie rewards to something that is kind of going to go the way of other single player adventures later on, where it's like you complete it and then you're kind of done. That's fair if that's the case, but that really isn't how it's been presented to us, right? Like Ben Brode literally said, the funnest, most replayable content we've ever put out. Okay. Well, how come I don't want to replay it? Oh, I know why. So yeah, that's it's just one of those things. Like I don't want to crap on anyone else's fun, but I also do want to criticize the game that I love the most to do a show about for the things that I think it deserves criticism for. And I think it's kind of my job, to be honest.
I think it's fair. I think it's really fair. And the sentiment here, or the concern here that I agree the most with, is a worry that we will get no more additions to Dungeon Run, because that's where my head is. I'm sitting here defending it, and I haven't even played it that much. Because I have put as much effort or as much time into the Dungeon Run as I kind of think they wanted me to. Because I don't care about a card back. I'm not going to go for completing it on every class. The reward isn't worth it in my mind, and some of the classes are infinitely more difficult than the others. That might change one day. I don't know if I'm really sick and bored and don't want to get up, maybe. But like overall, I like it enough that I want more. This is fine if this is a starting point, but if this is the end point, yeah, I'm disappointed. I just don't feel as strongly about it, I guess, as either of you two do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, I don't know. And the sentiments in the chat room, oh god, the thing that always gets chaps my ass is the comments of, oh, why spend more time on this when you could be spending it developing other modes? And it's just like, that's not how any team on any game has ever worked. When something comes out, it does not mean that something else was cannibalized, that it ate a feature in utero.
Well, it does depend on what company you're talking about, because apparently Epic is like sending everybody from Paragon over to Fortnite because Fortnite is super popular and Paragon isn't. So yeah, but not on Team 5.
Those are entire games, though. I mean, like, yeah, and the last Mass Effect basically killed Mass Effect. But that's different. We're talking about entire titles that have just lost money and others that are making money. So I that's always just really just annoyed the living daylights out of me. But I don't think.
It's a thing. There's always been this single player content, so they literally haven't even changed essentially the scheduling of like single. It's almost like they continued having people working on different things as they put out new expansions, the way they always have done. And like I think though, like what Jocelyn said, like that theory might be totally true, but I also think they've got such an awesome, like. I'm not shitting on the mode completely. Oh man, I just swore on the angry chicken. What the hell just happened? Like I also want to give them props for what works so well, and I think what they've got is a really cool kind of core here for if they want to use this as the base model for every time they put out single player content. And essentially what you do is you just get like new bosses and new whatever and blah blah blah. But it's like if they do that, the rewards definitely make sense, right? And because then it does become like a thing that continues forever and ever. But if they don't, I don't know. We'll see what comes next, I guess. Like, if that's the way they go, then I go, okay, the non-rewards thing might make a little more sense.
Yeah. No, I think it's all fair, and I think Manny in the chat room put it best. Come on, guys, you're supposed to be in Blizzard's pocket. People are going to start feeling like you're independent.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, I really enjoy these kind of conversations. So I appreciate the discourse and that you're not just like, screw you, you're wrong.
I do hope people like who saw my Twitter, stuff were understanding that's Twitter. Like that's where I'm going to be hyperbolic, right? Like that's where I'm going to, and also it was like 2 a.m. after getting the final one done and just being like, yeah, screw you in your face, Dungeon Run. I beat you. You suck. You lose. It was that type of thing, and of course, like my true, real thoughts are what I explained here, like that,
more
much
measured,
more lucid and much less 2
a.m.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's
I'm back.
hilarious.
Dogs
We're
are
half
barking.
an hour in and we haven't even done news yet.
No, we haven't. We haven't even thanked our patrons yet. Hey, folks, thank you for supporting us at patreon.com/TAC. That's where over 400 of you are what we call our bosses that are responsible for things like us paying rent and mortgage and putting food on the table and also buying Hearthstone cards because we're not winning any from Adventure Mode. Am I right? Ba-da-ba-ba-da-bum. But seriously, everyone over there supporting us, thank you very, very much. A few years ago when we launched the Patreon and it kind of took off, we didn't really think it would get to this point. So thank you. And if you're out there, if you like the Angry Chicken and you're thinking to yourself, I'd like to, support this show, patreon.com/TAC is the best way to do so. And on this episode, we wanted to thank Matt, no last name given, Arvid N, Cubist, who has a very timely handle, Jeremy, also no last name given, and Bennett JY. Thank you all very much for supporting our show. Let's start the show, shall we? It's time for Hearthstone news. It didn't play.
Good
There it
news,
is.
everyone.
Don't you love it when your touchscreen doesn't register? Hey, Ben Brode got on Twitter last week and said, quote, been reading discussions about balance. We have an update coming next month, which includes some cool events. And that is when any balance changes would happen. We'll be sure to announce any changes as the patch gets closer.
So a lot of people read this and assume that there will definitely be balance changes. But I read this and I assume maybe
There
not.
may not be.
It is.
He very specifically says like any changes, not we'll be sure to announce the changes. So I agree that the language here is kind of ambiguous and definitely not promising anything.
It's cryptic as hell.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, that's how they probably need to be, because if these have not been decided upon, then you definitely don't want to say that's when we will be making balance changes if they may end up deciding not to, right?
Yeah.
And, a lot of people are like immediately jumping to what's going to be changed. It's probably Bone Mare and Corridor Creeper and Patches and Raza. And like, they're all talking about all the stuff that they think will definitely
Patches
change.
hasn't been changed yet, guys. It's not getting changed. I'm sorry. We've had balance patches and Patches wasn't touched.
You know what, though? The more I think about it, the more I think it's okay to adjust Patches this late in its standard cycle, because when it does go to wild as a wild only thing, it's there forever. And I would like to see them think about, potentially balancing things because of the fact that they live in their current form forever in wild. So,
well, and that's assuming though that we never get wild balance patches, which I agree we haven't had yet, but I'm wondering if, as we have more and more standard rotations and as the card pool in wild gets larger, I would hope that there's a good chance that they would do a wild balance change. So if something they want to release next year ends up totally breaking Patches in wild, I would really like to see them actually make a change over there.
Sure. But they could make the change, while it's still in standard. I just think
that's true. They did change Dreadsteed. That's true.
Yeah, I just think that argument doesn't necessarily 100% of the time have to be true. Like, oh, it's rotating out soon. Now, yes, it probably makes it less likely that they feel the need to make the change there. But if they do feel like to me, it would be something like okay, Raza is always going to exist in wild in this form. When we added Psychic Scream, it really pushed that deck over the top. Like that kind of stuff. Like maybe we'll just make the change to Raza because we actually think Psychic Scream's okay. And when Raza rotates out, we kind of want Psychic Scream to still be what it is. But we understand that in wild, you'll always have access to both. So maybe we make the change to Raza now. Like I think that's a fair thing, and that's something that they could decide on. But I do agree that it makes it less likely. I also though think like I've been playing a lot more wild. I'm going to play in a wild tournament this coming weekend. And I've always played a lot of wild, but wild is really kind of, I think, hitting its stride even more now that there's so many cards, right? Mm-hmm. And there's so many crazy, it's basically everyone's just getting to their super broken thing. And so wild balance, I think, is something that they're going to have to start thinking more about, because as these expansions continue to come out, wild is going to become, I think, more popular. I don't think it's ever going to get less popular, because it's just going to be like a thing where like, oh my God, have you seen what you can do in wild? And more people are going to be attracted to that idea as time goes on.
like as you're going through your points of talking here, it's making me think like maybe they won't actually ever touch Wild, because I mean that was one of the things that Broad said when they first started talking about Wild is they want crazy broken things to happen. So maybe that means they don't touch stuff.
But they do. But man, I think honestly the thing that they might want to do more in Wild is adjust some of the crazy aggro cards in Wild more than like the crazy broken late game stuff in Wild. Like maybe think about things like Tunnel Trog, right? That kind of stuff. It like enables just these super, and that's why I think patches makes a lot of sense, because it enables these super aggressive early game strategies where basically what you just have is the most broken aggro decks, and then you have all these people trying to do like combos that require 7 cards on like turn 10, and and it's like you can never get there because the aggro cards are so damn powerful. So it kind of becomes less Wild, right? It's like, I just put stuff down and smash your face. So I don't know. I'm very interested to see where things go, and if these balance changes happen at all. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I don't mind the fact that there's some really powerful stuff out there right now. I think it's really fun. That being said, I wouldn't also mind if they changed Corridor Creeper.
I was about to say, yeah.
That'd be totally fine.
That's kind of where my head lands. It's like the Corridor Creeper's not necessarily broken. It's just that we talked a little bit about this last week when we were gone, Dills, is that it's for me, I think it is hit Azure Drake status. It's just in almost every freaking deck.
Well, but it's worse than Azure Drake to me, because like there's going to be matches that we're going to watch on this HCT World Championship where there's going to be two people playing a deck that has Corridor Creeper in it, and one guy's going to have both of them and the other guy's not going to have any. And you can't say that in a game where everybody had 2 Azure Drakes, the one guy who had Azure Drake in his hand is going to definitely win the game 100% of the time.
That is extremely fair.
Yeah, but the guy who like draws both, like the problem with the card, it's similar to like Keleseth and Patches. It's like it's so draw dependent. It's like if you draw it, it's insane. If you don't draw it and the other guy does, oh my god, what a disadvantage! Like that. That's I think why the card's a little bit of an issue. So I've seen some like, good ideas for fixes out there, and we'll see if Blizzard decides to go with anything. I mean, if it doesn't change at all, that also wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
I'd be surprised if they didn't change it. They've got to see the writing on the wall for that card already, and it's I don't know. I feel like I should be like, not that Wild doesn't matter, and when things rotate out, we're ignoring Wild, and we've already talked a lot about Wild, but it's not rotating out anytime soon.
No, it's brand new. It's here to stay for a while. Yeah.
Right.
It's also,
although it is in the last expansion of the year, right?
That's
so
true.
It's going to have a shorter standard life than other cards like Aggro cards. Yeah.
Yeah, not good enough for me. I don't want another year of Corridor
But the
Creeper.
problem is, if you look like statistically, and Blizzard sees these stats, I'm sure they're going to see that compared to like a card like Undertaker that they did change, it is apparently people who keep track of this stuff have said it's in more decks than Undertaker ever was. It has a higher win rate when drawn and played than Undertaker did. So Blizzard sees those same stats. They might see something different, but if they see those same stats, they're definitely going to make a change, right? Because they did change Undertaker. So.
Yeah, I that's where my money's at. I think a Corridor Creeper change is coming in, and maybe that's it. I mean, you could make arguments for other cards in the game right now, but I think it's actually pretty friggin' balanced. That I'm digging it at the moment. So,
I will say this though, like if they were to make the change just to patches, that would actually balance Corridor Creeper a little bit too. Because one of the reasons why Corridor Creeper is so insane is the fact that on turn 1 you play 2 minions and then they die, killing something else.
Both people play 2 minions, and then
yeah, they all work together. So
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we move into strategy, which is where we're going to talk about the HCT World Championship that's starting up in a couple of days, let's thank one of our sponsors today. Harry's is back. They're still sponsoring the Angry Chicken no matter how many times we give extremely detailed descriptions of our hairy shoulders. But they are here, and we love Harry's here, man. Dills, Harry's been keeping your neck beard in check?
Dude, Harry's is the one travel item I will never leave the house without. Is my Harry's razor. It is so friggin' good, and I gave one over the Christmas holidays to my stepsister's husband. What do you call that? Stepbrother? I don't know what you call it.
Stepbrother-in-law?
Is it a stepbrother? Stepbrother-in-law?
Stepbrother-in-law.
Anyway,
I just possessive spouse.
Sure. So I gave one to him, and he was like, "Oh, cool, thanks." Like it was clear he didn't know anything about Harry's. I get a text like 2 weeks later. He's like, "Dude, I threw out every other razor I own. This is the best thing ever. I'm signing up right now." I was like, "Make sure you use code TAC at checkout, okay?" So yeah, he fell in love with it immediately.
This is the thing, man. I totally sound like a freaking commercial whenever manscaping comes up in general conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, you can go to harrys.com/TAC right now and claim your free trial offer, which you can do, by the way, everybody. harrys.com/TAC right now. They still have that free trial offer up. It's a $13 value for free when you sign up. The only thing you have to pay for is shipping. You get a weighted ergonomic handle. You get one of their 5 precision engineered blades that also has a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade. Works great on shoulders. You get a rich lathering shave gel and a travel blade cover, which you're going to need because, as Dills mentioned, it's the only thing he doesn't travel without. That's right. Dills' razor from Harry's beat out pants for the one travel item.
Oh yeah, sometimes I will forget pants for sure. Yeah.
I have legitimately forgotten all of my shirts when I travel. That is a thing that has happened to me before. I have packed and made sure I had like socks, underwear, bras, pants. Done. Okay, let's go. Wait a minute. Shirts are important.
Oh my lord! I've heard this story before, and it never stops being funny. Never stops. So, we thank them for their support, and so go check it out. Get your free trial set by going to harrys.com/TAC. Now, let's talk some HGC decks.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay.
Oh yeah, HGC is starting up like Thursday, right? It's here,
Thursday.
man.
It starts at
It's actually
8:30.
Wednesday if you're in California.
Yeah, that's true, right? It starts at like 8:30 a.m. for their time, right?
Yes.
It's like Central Eastern time or whatever it is, or
Which
Central
means
European time or what? Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's 2:30 a.m. for those of us on Eastern Standard Time, and
Yeah,
it's
it's gonna be
11:30 p.m.
1:30 for
on
me.
the 17th. Yeah. So
We're gonna be up all night watching this damn thing.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm gonna like try to go to bed like super early, like 8 p.m. and then like sleep from like 8 until like 2, and then get up and go watch all of those. Which means it's gonna be
a little annoying because I
weird busted weekend.
Yeah, I just got through the Wrestle Kingdom Japanese wrestling things that screwed my sleeping schedule up even more. Staying up till 8 a.m. watching Japanese wrestling, and now here comes the Hearthstone World Championships, which I can't miss. I gotta watch them.
We're just too worldly, Dills. We're too worldly.
Yeah, so
we need
cultured.
to change time zones without actually moving.
Y'all are crazy. The first esport I ever got into was StarCraft. That crap was happening in the middle of the night every night because it was always in Korea. Just watch VODs. What's wrong with you? Get up in the morning, pour yourself a bowl of cereal, treat it like Saturday morning cartoons. It's the best way to esport.
No way. I gotta know. What's happening.
I'll be fine.
It's like when the World Cup comes around. You stay up all night watching it.
No, I don't. I don't. Man,
I agree with you, Dills. We can text back and forth while these things are happening.
Cool.
We'll totally we can use Slack and totally spoil it for Garrett and teach him.
No, you won't.
Must
My
stay up
Slack,
all night.
my Slack is on Do Not Disturb at those hours. I'm gonna sleep right through it. Wake up, leave my phone in the bedroom, pour my cereal, and pretend I'm just gonna go watch the Ninja Turtles. But I'm not. I'm going to watch HCT. It's going to be wonderful. So, anyways, Blizzard actually put up a fairly comprehensive kind of meta post. Actually, a friend of the show, Kevin Hofstad, put it up there. Kind of breaking down the class representation, the meta, and it is exactly what you would think it would be. 7 out of the 9 classes in the game represented. There is no shaman, no warrior, which is such a huge surprise.
Well, I was trying to remember the last time we actually had a world championship with no warrior representation, because even back to like the beginning of Hearthstone, we had like control warrior decks, and then there was, pirate warrior. Like there's always been a warrior representation at the championships. This is crazy to me.
Well, and shaman, right? I mean, even
well,
maybe super early on there might not have been shaman that first year, but
yeah.
And shaman was super powerful forever. I don't know. The one thing though that's always kind of been at the bottom of the heap as far as HCT is Hunter, man. Hunter.
Yeah, I know.
Is one, but yeah, they've never been overrepresented, and
yeah.
Well,
it's fine. I think Blizzard just knows that Hunter is so powerful for the low ranked players that they're never going to make it a super powerful deck.
Well,
right?
then Orange is your man. Orange
crushes
is
the lower ranks. It
yeah.
already does in a huge way.
Orange is the only player to bring the only hunter deck in the entire World Championship. It is an aggro hunter.
Yeah. I think it's a good deck. I played it. I played this deck. I think it's a good climbing deck as well for early ranks. It'll get you to rank 10 like pretty quickly. He's also teched it pretty heavily, I think, to beat rogues and like other aggro decks, right? Like any other decks that are playing the pirate.
Well, that's the kind of thing that you can do in a tournament like this, right? Like that's where it kind of falls on ladder a little bit potentially, is when you're teching against like one specific thing, but you have no control over like banning a certain deck or something.
Well, everybody knows that everyone else is going to have a priest and a warlock, right?
Yes,
like pretty much.
Literally
so you ban
every
one of
single
those,
person,
and then you got to be able to like not let one other deck through.
Yeah.
And I think the smart money is that most of the other players were going to have rogues as one of their third decks, right? So, he's got, if you look at his deck list, he's got a flanking strike. Like Galactic Crawler obviously just makes sense because it's a beast, so it's not terrible anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just a decent card to play in a hunter deck. But it's the flanking strike and the Spellbreaker that really makes me think like, okay, so he's trying to make sure he can get through like Bone Mares. He's trying to make sure he can kill South Sea Captains if he doesn't have that. He's trying to make sure he can kill, important minions that are hidden behind, taunt minions and things like that, right? So that's like what I see when I look at this. And then he's got like the Leroy Bittertide Hydra, all that kind of stuff where you can just smash your face towards the end of the game. So I think he'll do well with this deck. I think Orange actually has a pretty good lineup. I'm surprised that he's the only one who kind of went that route.
I had a really hard time because obviously, again, this time for HCT, they did the pick your champion thing. So you can actually could go onto BattleNet and then choose who you think is going to win you the most packs. I had a really hard time choosing between orange and purple, not to mention I know that they practice together and they're like super bros and they both have color names. Just like, I wish I could pick two because I love them. But in the end, I chose purple as well. Yeah.
I think purple's the right choice. But like purple just brought like the right decks, right? Like he wasn't going to mess around at all. He's like, no, I want to win this thing. So I'm going to bring the 4 best decks. And he brought aggro Druid instead of the hunter, but I think they have the same other 3 decks.
I think they do, yeah.
Yeah, Warlock, Priest, and Rogue.
Yeah.
The other interesting stuff that we've got here is Frozen is one of the only players to bring Mage, and he has a big spell Mage, which, again, I think the reason here is he's planning to target Rogue, I think, here. Rogue and aggro Druid with this deck, because basically the idea here is, if you look at it, you're like, big spell mage shouldn't be running Arcane Intellect. Why are you doing that? I think what he's thinking is Dragon's Fury is the only card where that really matters outside of the Raven Familiar or whatever. But that's not that huge of a deal if it doesn't draw. And he's thinking like 3 is going to be enough a lot of the times, right? Because if you think about what Dragon's Fury is when it draws 3, it's that old priest spell, whatchamacallit, evil thing, excavated evil. That's basically what it turns into.
Whatchamacallit evil.
Yeah, whatchamacallit evil. That's basically what the card turns into, right? And that card was fine
without the downside of giving your opponent some AOE, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, it's like dragon. Like a lot of people are like, why would you ever put in any cards that cost 3 when you have Dragon's Fury? And I agree with Frozen that like it AOEing for 3 is not that terrible. Yeah. It's actually like a totally fine card when it AoEs for 3. So, and that still kills aggro Druid stuff. That still usually kills all the rogue stuff. Like it's still usually okay. And he now gets to have Arcane Intellect, which is a super good card, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So to me, it's like I don't find that decision that insane.
I've always been a big Frozen fan, and I like that as well, because this big spell mage has been one of the big banes of my existence on ladder, playing aggro and Murloc Paladin. You're going through and mage is usually is a good matchup. Like you're against like Secret and Exodia mage, it's not so bad. But lately it's been this damn mage, and I see mage, and I'm like, yes. And then they start playing this deck, and I'm just like, oh, no, this is the one mage I didn't want to see. And now I've seen it enough times in a row that now when I see mage, I start shaking in my Murloc flipper boots.
It's insane because if they stabilize a couple times, the next thing you know, it's Frostless Jaina time, and you just can never win, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But he also can win with this deck against like the control locks because Frostless Jaina is just that powerful that you can make enough of those water elementals that you can outlast their hero power when they turn into Blood Reaver Gul'dan, right?
Yeah, it's this lifesteal like face off. It's like, oh, you got 3 damage in lifesteal, so do I, and it's attached to a 6 health minion that freezes you. Get wrecked.
Yeah, it's like you're gaining 3, I'm gaining 9. What up, dude? Like, so it's really, those are going to be some interesting matchups when he has to try to beat things like the biggest problem for that deck, I think, is probably the Priest deck, but you can line it up right to still beat the Priest. Again, it's like getting a bunch of water elementals to
or you
stick
could just
and then never
ban
dying.
Priest, right?
Well, it's probably his plan, yeah. But so Kibler was playing this exact deck, the Frozen list, on ladder, and you can't ban Priest there. And he played like 5 Priests in a row and actually won like 3 out of 5, I think. So it's possible. It's just difficult. You have to line things up perfectly.
Hey guys, I know we had a 30-minute conversation on dungeon runs, but can we get into a 30-minute conversation again about how ladder needs to be more akin to the esports?
Sure.
No, I'm just.
We're not going down that
trolling.
rabbit hole.
I'm just trolling. I'm not doing that.
So another interesting lineup, I think, is Ant's lineup, because I think he is the only one who just went, I'm aggro.
But
he
that's
didn't
kind of what
even
he's
play
known
Raza
for,
Priest.
though, right?
Huh?
That's kind of what he's known for, though.
Yeah,
right?
sure. So he didn't even play Raza Priest. He's playing the Priest you're playing, Joss. He's
Yes,
playing
because he likes to have fun.
Sure, he's playing Spiteful Summoner Priest. But I really like his Paladin list because right now a lot of people are playing the like pure aggro list with all the piratey stuff, and he's playing the Murlocs.
Yeah.
And there's a huge reason why this is, I think, better for a tournament is you're not weak to Galaka Crawler, which is going to definitely be a tech option for a lot of people. And no one's putting in Hungry Crabs, right?
Right.
So, yeah, you've taken away like one of your weaknesses by just not having patches.
Galaka Crawler is actually the most common rare in all of these decks. So I think there's like 24 of 64 or 23 of 64 decks that are
everyone's
actually
expecting
running
Rogue.
Crawler, because everyone's expecting, even if you're not playing Rogue, like it's just Patches is in so many decks that you kind of can't go wrong. It's the most popular legendary in this tournament is Patches.
And not only that, not only are you not weak to Galaka Crawler, which is a huge deal in a tournament setting, but also against all those control decks like that try to put down Void Lords and stuff on turn 5 and 6, you can just cheese victories with Gentle Megasaur over those decks.
Poison.
And you can't do that without the ability to suddenly give all your minions +3 attack or Wind Fury and things like that. So I think this is definitely the right choice. I'm really happy with what Ant did here. And I do think that he's just better at these decks, so he should be doing what he's doing, I think. So
yeah, he's playing to his strengths.
Well. Yeah, I think he's going to do well.
And he's not completely off his rocker. He's still bringing Priest. He's still respecting the meta to a certain degree.
But it's just not it's not the most powerful version of Priest, right? So that's
which version is
that's
he?
What freaks people out.
By
by the way, there is one Hungry Crab that I found, and it's in Jason Zhou's decks. He's got a Hungry Crab in his Aggro Druid.
Oh, does he?
Oh, okay. Let me
Which
pull
I'm
that up real fast.
confused about because I don't know what other. There's 3 Paladins, I think. Maybe is there 3 or 2?
Well,
did they know their groups ahead of submitting decks?
I don't think they do. They definitely don't know the deck list until they're all
they don't. Yes, yeah, they all submit together. But yeah, because I wonder if he knew, Ant likes aggressive decks. So if I'm in Ant's group, I'm probably gonna, I might make use of the crab.
Well,
Hungry Crab. There we go. I don't know why I blanked on that. You literally said it 2 seconds ago.
I'd say that the HCT is kind of like Dungeon Run, where you're just trying to win the final boss. But yeah, it's probably just because it's Aggro Druid and you can get away with it because it's just a 1-mana 1/2 and it's just another body you can throw on board.
Yeah,
and buff,
it synergizes with your mark.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's fine.
And it's only a one of. It's not like he doubled down on the Hungry Crab. Makes sense. This is what ladder Aggro Druid looks like. I mean.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't play the Hungry Crab in mine, but I do play Galaka Crawler in mine. I think, it looks like what he did is he took out 1 Crawler and put in 1 Crab and was like, I'll just cover all my bases, right? So
I like it. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine. So the other thing I kind of want to talk about with these lists is that most people are not bringing the CubeLock. They're bringing the pure control lock. Now, there are plenty of CubeLocks out there with the Doom Guards and the
I think
Giants
it's
and everything like that.
6 to 8. I think there's like 8 that are more like control-y, and then there's like 6 that are actually CubeLock.
Like there's
so
more Rin than Doom Guard.
Yes.
And I like that. I think the more I played the CubeLock, the more I liked the non-Doom Guard version of it. Even for ladder. Like, it just felt like the Doom Guard thing could cheese wins over, control decks and stuff. But against aggro, I just wanted to make sure I had a Void Lord, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to guarantee that it was a Void Lord that came out when I killed my possessed lackey.
This came up last week when I was preaching the good word of Aggro Paladin, and I was just like, I want to see CubeLock because when the Doom Guard comes out, I get to keep going face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what this version kind of does. And then also with the cube version, you can't really get away with running like N'Zoth and stuff because it's like you got too many cards that are built around doing all this Doomguard-y stuff. But with the other version, you open up all this room and you put in N'Zoth. You put in things like plated beetles. You can put in like all this kind of stuff that's just much more defensive. And your matchup with aggro is just insanely better. So, I really like you still have the cubes because, sometimes you'll cube things like there was a Firebat game where he played Spirit Singer Umbra and was cubing Mistress of Mixtures and healing for like 16 a turn. Because you cube them and then the Spirit Singer Umbra brings out heals and then it brings out 2 more Mistress of Mixtures right away because it does the cubes death rattle right away. It was kind of insane. So it's just such a better defensive option. And really, like, what are you trying to beat with the Warlock deck? You're not necessarily trying to beat the Priest. You're trying to beat all the other aggro decks that they bring.
Yeah. I have to mention this just because I'm such a fan of the Vulgar Homunculus zoo, and Samuel Zhao is doing just that. There's no Prince in there. He's bringing the Homunculus. He's bringing the Demon Fire. He's bringing the Blood Fury Potion. And this is so hilarious because I'm seeing posts from fan sites that are like, "There's a new version of Zoo coming up," and I'm just like, "I was talking about this on Angry Chicken the day this damn expansion came out. Get off my lawn."
I love this. I love this list. I actually like it when it plays the Blood Imp too, which he's not playing. But I think I might dump Tar Creeper and stuff and put in Blood Imp in here somewhere.
I want to bet my packs on Samuel Zhao just because of the zoo.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
it's a cool list, man. It is.
That was one thing that I wanted to talk about, specifically him and the other people who qualified through the Winter Championship, because we've got Stan Adachi, Frozen, Samuel Zhao, and Doc Pone, who all qualified in a totally different standard year, in a totally different meta that also happened, 10 months ago. How do we feel that those 4 players are actually going to do in HCT? Because I don't really think that we've seen much of them.
I actually think they have possibly an advantage because I know like Frozen and Doc Pone and stuff where they took like a break.
Yeah.
They basically just didn't have to grind for the rest of the year because they knew they were in. And so essentially they can kind of erase all of it, go off and live life and feel good and be happy and then
and get refreshed.
And then right at the end, like the meta is all fresh and new now, like there's new cards, like you can wrap your head around the new meta now. Like you don't have to have been grinding through Knights of the Frozen Throne to then be able to be good, I think, in this meta. Like you're good, you're already a good player, you understand that. Like Hearthstone is not about repetition and hitting skill strikes and things like that, right? It's just about understanding exactly what can happen on each turn and setting yourself up the best for that and things like, I guess one thing that you do benefit from is things like tracking cards and all that kind of stuff, like that kind of mental
just that familiarity
checklist thing that you have to do. But I'm pretty sure that they can can they write notes? Like I'm pretty sure that they can have paper and stuff during this tournament, right? So
I'm always unsure of that.
I think they might have an advantage.
I don't think that they can. I don't remember anyone like being at BlizzCon and writing things down. I don't think that they can.
Yeah,
it's become like kind of a thing at a lot of tournaments though. Like you'll see like Chalky like taking lots and lots of notes a lot of times.
Specifically at like DreamHacks and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know about these. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that practice helps with, right? So, but I do think that being able to step away from the game and come back is not necessarily a detriment. I think it could even potentially be an advantage.
Fair enough.
I think it's gonna be close, man. Like, I mean, the meta is very figured out, and these are all very very strong players. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rooting for Orange because I'm an Orange fan. I'm rooting for Sal because I like his
The guy
decks.
from Florida is a fan of Orange.
Oh, because of his name? The dude's not from Florida. I mean, if he was and his name was Orange, I mean, I'd just always root for him. But I just think Orange is a nice guy. I like him. I've always been a big Frozen
but
fan.
his name
too.
is Orange. That's what you guys have in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, our oranges are infinitely better than California oranges. Shots fired. But yeah, I've also been a big
That's
Frozen
fine.
fan.
I'm not gonna argue. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that.
But
Even when I was a kid growing up, it was always the commercial. Florida Orange.
Florida
juice.
Orange,
All right,
yeah.
cool, got it. That means it's good, right?
Yep. Well, all right. Well, before we move out of here, we have a new sponsor to thank on today's episode, Casper, which you can find over at casper.com/TAC. If you're unfamiliar with them, Casper is a sleep brand that makes expertly designed products to help you get your best rest one night at a time. And I didn't know this. Apparently, we spend roughly a third of our life sleeping. I feel like I'd put a ding in that average last night, but
That's okay because I threw it the other way. So.
oh, I'm glad someone overslept.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Between the three of us, we have a normal sleep pattern.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's the case, if that's true, why not spend that time in comfort? Casper products are cleverly designed to mimic human curves, which provide supportive comfort for all kinds of bodies, even if your body's like mine and it makes no sense whatsoever. Casper has you covered. It will conform to my bizarre shape. It's good stuff. Their original Casper mattress combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with the right amounts of both sink and bounce. Not that you should go jumping up down on your bed, but you're an adult. You can do what you want.
I'm pretty sure that because we're adults, that means we can go jump on the bed.
No one's gonna tell me not to. And you know what? When I do jump up and down, I want the right amount of sink and bounce. Okay.
All right.
So,
all right.
yeah.
You might like this one, Dill, since your heat is cranked so high in Texas right now. It has a breathable design that helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night.
Well, I definitely need that. Yeah, Texas is weird. Like, I'm from San Francisco, where it's always the same temperature, basically. And living in Texas has been like just a system shock, right? It's like I'm either too hot or too cold.
It's like being in the hot tub and jumping in a pool, or vice versa. Always good. But they also offer a wide array of other products. They have pillows, sheets. They're all to ensure an overall better sleep experience. They're all designed, developed, and assembled right here in the U.S. And by the way, free shipping and returns in the U.S. and Canada. Did you hear that, Jocelyn?
Yay!
And Canada.
This never happens.
Delivered to your door in a box so small you can't believe they fit a mattress in there. It's great. You should check them out.
I want to see that box.
I know. I'm like, man, I need one of these.
Oh, somebody cap that. You can be sure also of your purchase because Casper has a 100-night risk-free sleep on it trial. And on top of all of this, TAC listeners have a special offer. You can get $50 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/TAC and using the code TAC at checkout. Terms and conditions do apply. But again, that is $50 towards select mattresses over at casper.com/TAC. Use the code TAC. We thank them for their support. We thank you all for going to casper.com/TAC to check them out. Now, let's take a crazy game story.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You may send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. And I'm going to throw to Dills this week because he didn't get to read an email last week.
Oh, damn. All right, let's do this. Adam says, Mage versus Shaman Arena. All right, I'm intrigued already. I'm just intrigued that somebody picked Shaman in Arena, but all right, here we go. With 15 cards left.
He's the mage.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. With 15 cards left, I've whittled the Shaman down to 10 life. I begin to lose board control due to back-to-back volcanoes. But no, I have an out in the one Pyroblast in my deck. My hand is completely empty, and I'm top decking the rest of the game. Fast forward to 8 cards left, still no Pyroblast. My opponent plays Marin the Fox and proceeds to kill the chest the following turn. Please don't be the crown. Please don't be the crown. 2 Onyxia hit the board. Oh boy. I'm at 19 life. His board has 23 damage. I need to draw Pyro this turn. 1 out of 7 is decent odds. I've got this. The card flips over to be Tomb Lurker. YOLO! I throw Tomb Lurker onto the board, and a Master's Chest pops into my hand. Ooh. It may not say it on the card, but Master's Chest has Taunt. I play it onto the board, and naturally my opponent passes up lethal to loot the treasure. Another crown. 2 Illidan's are out of the board. He knocks me to 4 life and passes. Hallelujah. Draw my Pyro and grin as I burn his face to a crisp. 6-0, baby. Let's go. Wow, so you actually baited the guy into BMing you with a Master's Chest. Not too shabby, my friend.
That's
high quality strategy right there.
That's such a satisfying win.
So there's 2 things here that I think we could say about his opponent. His opponent picks Shaman, so maybe doesn't play that much Arena. Because the problem with Shaman isn't that, like, as a class they're just terrible. It's just that the cards they've gotten recently totally suck for Arena because they all synergize with things like freezing the opponent's minions and things like that, which you're just not going to be able to do in Arena with consistency. And then cards like Volcano are fantastic, but that's the set ago, right? So but then also, your opponent doesn't care about winning. He cares about 360 windmill dunking. He tried to do it this time and it didn't work out. He 360 windmill dunked and then it bounced off the back of the rim and hit
him in the face.
Yeah, yeah, right into his face.
Just right in the schnoz. Oh man, that's great though, and man, give the shaman some credit. Like jumping on your own bed, you're an adult. You can pick shaman if you want to pick shaman.
You can, but I mean, if you're trying to win, you want to pick priest, you want to pick rogue, and you want to pick hunter. Right now.
Fair enough. Well, let's bring it home with an email or two.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You may send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Jason writes in and says, First, I am a new player, and I am loving the podcast. I struggled in my first few weeks, but I'm actually getting a few wins now. I have noticed that one of my weaknesses has been deck building. I have checked a few sites to get some ideas, but it seems that I am always missing a lot of cards, and while I don't mind playing or paying a little, I certainly don't or won't be spending big dollars. My question is, what do you recommend for an up-and-coming player in regards to building a competitive deck? For example, I would love to play a Zoo Warlock or something similar. I have about half the cards needed. What is your process when filling out the deck? I think Jason's kind of along the right path already with finding a competitive deck that is affordable and kind of taking a look at his stock. How close am I? How much dust is it going to take to kind of complete this archetype out?
Well, I think basically what his question is saying, like, okay, I found a competitive deck. I have half the cards. How do I fill in the other 15? Like, what is it that I should be looking for in cards to fill out a deck that is, a net deck?
Yeah, the difficulty when you don't have a lot of cards is finding suitable replacements for the time being. But I do think that the tool that Blizzard has given us is
I was going to say,
good.
How much have you used the tool? Because
I've used it a fair bit because I have my EU and I have my Asia accounts. And on those accounts, what I'll usually do is I will go to HS Replay. I'll grab the most popular version of like a Hunter deck or a Warlock deck or whatever it is. I'll pop it in there and I'll see how many cards I'm missing. And if I'm missing like 10 or 15, I'll probably abandon it and just try to build something of my own. But if I'm only missing like 5 or 6, I just click on the card and I use their tool because it gives you try to give you something comparable. Right? It gives you 2 options each time, yeah. And you can unclick if you don't like either option and click again, and it'll present you 2 more options. So you can kind of try it a few times until you get 2 selections you think actually make sense to you. But yeah, definitely, I think Zoo is a good start because, you'll be able to play, Flame Imps and Malgazar's Imps and all that kind of stuff, and they're all basic cards and stuff. And I think the key for him is to probably focus on the most powerful cards in the deck and making sure that you get those first, right? So like Blood Reaver Gul'dan, focus on getting that as a legendary. Focus on getting Corridor Creepers and Doom Guards as your epics, right? Like look at the cards that are just the strongest cards in the deck, because you can probably put in, like, you'll be able to get away with, Raptors for a while. They're just like at low ranks, you can play weaker cards and it's fine. You can put in freaking River Crocs, you'll still be able to win some games. But if you don't have cards like Corridor Creeper, it suddenly becomes much tougher, right? Because that's the card that's like the huge swingy style card. Bone Mares, like have Bone Mares. Have these cards that are really, really powerful. Oh, Doomguard's only a rare, isn't it? Or is it an epic? Doomguard is an epic, isn't it?
I can't remember now.
Think of it. Can't think
of it.
All right, but anyway.
Don't usually come into play in my mind.
Yeah.
Well, I've had them for so long that...
Yeah. But just focus on the like really powerful cards
It's
first.
a rare.
It's a rare? Okay.
Yeah.
That's better. Even better. Yeah. So focus on like the really powerful cards that are in those decks. One way you can tell what the powerful cards are is HS Replay actually has a really nice tool for that too. You can go over there, you can click on that deck. So like if you're talking about a Zoo Warlock, right? You can click on one of their versions of it, and then you can look at the Mulligan guide, and you don't have to look at like the Mulligan win rate, but look at like the played win rate. And all those cards that have the highest percentage played win rate, those are probably the most powerful cards, right? The Mulligan win rate is telling you like it's going to be, one drops and stuff are going to be generally higher percentage there. But yeah, look for the played win rate cards. So if you see like here, it's like, I'm looking at it right now. Corridor Creeper, when it's played, 58% win rate. Bone Mare, 58.5% win rate. South Sea Captain, 58.5%. Like these are the high. Prince Keleseth, 62. These are like the highest percentage cards. So focus on getting those first, and then fill in the rest with just whatever you got. Right. Just try to make a nice low curve and curve out at low ranks.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I wanted to mention too, Dills, when you're talking about the tools, that only works if you import a deck, right? So if you are a new player, Jason, there's deck codes now in Hearthstone which let you copy from these websites, or a code given by a friend or whatever. If you use the code, that's how you get the deck list into your client and actually get the kind of like grayed out cards that you don't have, that then you fill in with Blizzard's suggestion tool. So if you're kind of curious about where that suggestion tool is and why you may not have seen it yet, then that's how you do it. It's bring in
HSReplay.net literally has a blue button that you push that says copy deck to Hearthstone. So you push that, it copies it to your clipboard, then you head on over to Hearthstone, click in when you're on your collection manager, and it'll say, do you want to build a deck with
what's on your clipboard?
Yeah, and like every fan site has a version of that. Whether you're on Disguised Terrorist or Hearthstone
mobile
or
has
Hearthhead.
it too. Like you can copy it first onto your iPad or whatever, your phone, and then open Hearthstone, and it'll work the same way.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, which is so great in mobile.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys remember?
Building decks in mobile can be painful.
You know what else I never used with the codes now is, like, let's say I have a version of the deck and I just want to tinker with it, but I don't want to lose my original version. You just copy it, like from the collection manager. You click copy the deck, then you just build a second version of the deck, and then you start tinkering with that one. It's like, thank you, Blizzard. Oh my God. Wow, this is so useful.
I know when they first talked about it, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, I might use that every once in a while. I use it like literally every single day now. All the time. Didn't even realize I needed it until they gave it to me.
I use it even when I know I'm going to make changes, just because I'm like, I don't want to find all the stuff I know I'm not getting rid of. I'm just going to throw it in and delete the 1 or 2 things or 3 things that I'm making room for tech cards. So
it's just great for experimenting without losing your original idea, right? Especially when a lot of times, like, I'll build my own deck and I don't want to lose my thing that I came up with, my original concept, right? Like I just built this wild shaman deck that was really fun. Didn't end up working out like I hoped, but the basic idea was that new evolve card, the 1 mana, you can evolve like as many times as you want in a turn, right? Unstable evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So that card, I was like thinking about it. I'm like, man, if I cast that a bunch of times in a turn, I'm gonna make Arcane Giants really cheap, right? So I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay. So I put in Arcane Giants in that, and then I started thinking more, and I was like, well, what's a really good target to evolve? And I was like, oh, Corridor Creeper, because it's 7 costs and it'll cost like 0 when I play it. So I threw that in. And then I was like, oh, Volcano would be really good because sometimes I can Volcano their board and then play a 0 mana 5/5. And that's like the important thing is like flipping the board. Mm-hmm. And then it's transitioned. And then I was like, oh, now I'm overloading. Let me put in Snow Fury Giants. And, so now it's like I had all this like stuff going on. And it was really fun. It was like an overload, unstable evolution, corridor creeper shaman deck. And sometimes it would be insane because then I put in the mithrils, or not the mithril, whatever their spellstone is. And sometimes you'd play like a 0 mana arcane giant and then make 3 more copies of it all in one turn, right? Or a 0 mana snow fury and make 3 copies of it. The problem is that everyone's like beating your face in before that ever happens. So yeah, it was a really cool idea that I never quite found the right balance of. But it was like, I wanted to make that deck and then not lose my original concept and toy around. So that deck code was amazing for that.
You really chased the dragon there, man. I went on a journey listening to you build that deck and the recap of it.
Dude, this is what I love about Wild right now is you can have some weird idea and then you just like go down the rabbit hole of how to make that weird idea start to kind of come to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just so many options now. It's a fun place. And it just gets more fun every time more cards get added. Get so excited. Well, rad. Well, I think it's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you again. Keep those emails coming, everybody. tacpodcast@gmail.com. Got to thank our awesome patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC one more time, especially our producers, Declan H., Michael N., Sean S., Johnny S., and LVE. You are all extremely generous, and we thank you. Otherwise, if you still want to help out Angry Chicken, but you're already a patron or you're not going to become a patron, drop us a 5-star review on iTunes. We have a lot now, but it still helps. It never stops helping the show. So do that. As for the back catalog of Angry Chicken episodes, you can find them on AMove TV or the YouTube, youtube.com/AMove TV. You can catch us live Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern right here on twitch.tv/AMove TV. And around the table before we leave, Dills, you do a lot of other things around the internet. Where can folks find you?
Check me out on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills. And if you want to watch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Willie Dills. I'm going to start moving my stream times earlier on days I'm not podcasting. So generally it'll be evening streams Monday and Tuesday, and then earlier streams Wednesday and Thursday and probably Friday. So I'm trying to kind of work out what an actual schedule will look like that I can post on my channel, but that's kind of the plan that we're looking for going forward because I need to get my sleep back to a norble thing.
I'll keep that in mind for Thursdays. I keep assuming it's going to be super, super late.
that's I would like to, even talk to you about moving that like before dinner or something like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Probably better. Yeah. Because, it's the late thing screws me up. I get done streaming and then I'm too jacked up to just go to bed, right?
That's my problem. And then it's 5 a.m. and I'm like, damn it.
So I need to start moving it forward. The days when I'm podcasting like today and Monday when I do 1-900 wrestling, it makes sense to stream after. But then if I can move it forward the rest of the week, that'd be sweet. So I'm going to try to do that, and then hopefully I'll be able to post an actual schedule soon. But those are the places where you'd find out about that.
I'm still going to drag both of you butts into PUBG with me at some point at a late evening.
Oh, dude.
I'm ready for it.
I'm in almost any time.
Joss, what else are you doing?
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Joss Plays. But the thing I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight is I've started working with Convert to Raid, and I'm doing their new esports show, BattleNet Sports. So they are short, digestible segments. They have different people covering each different esport. So if you guys are interested in Hearthstone esports, that's my segment. So about 10 minutes every week on Hearthstone esports. So go and check it out. And that's converttoraid.com, and the show is BattleNet Sports.
That is freaking awesome. This is the first I'm hearing about this.
I just recorded the first one yesterday.
Damn. Well, everyone should definitely go check that out. Are they going to have to hold you back when they bring back the Dungeon Invitational for World of Warcraft, or are you just going to break through the internet into hosting that as well?
Yes, there are a couple of WoW esport things that I might host.
Just see Jocelyn pushing through the wall behind the person hosting it like Freddy Krueger. It'll be wonderful.
It shall be mine.
Everyone go check that out. I'm all over the place. Garrett Art on Twitter, amove.tv for all the other podcasts. Joss, you and I recently put out a new episode of Embrace of Spoilers where folks voted and we went and spoiled The Last Jedi, and we'll be spoiling the new Jumanji very soon, so check that out if you're not listening. Into the Nexus is turning 200 this week, so this Thursday join us for the 200th episode of Into the Nexus, which if you don't know what the hell that is, it's about Heroes of the Storm. So check that show out. And come party with us, and maybe some people from Team 1. We still haven't gotten confirmation, but something's probably happening. Anyways, check that out. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Angry Chicken. Thank you all for joining us. Thank both of you for carrying my sleepy butt through this episode, Joss and Dills. And until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!
That was a short one.
That's a show.